to make up some meatballs today. It's really cold and chilly outside and I just fancy meatballs because I haven't made them for quite a while. So here we go, we're going to make a delicious meatball recipe. Now with these meatballs, rather than serve them up with spaghetti, today I'm going to serve them up with couscous. So to make up these meatballs, I just want to quickly go through the ingredients we're going to use. Now first of all, I'm going to use 500 grams, that's half a kilo of lean beef mince, but you could use minced lamb instead. It's just that I know a lot of you find it really difficult to get minced lamb. So today I'm going to use 500 grams of lean beef mince. Then I've got one red onion, peel that, put it in the blender and we're going to blend that up nice and fine, along with one chilli, take the seeds out, 4 cloves of garlic and a good sized piece of fresh ginger. Now once you've blended those down, got them really nice and fine, add half that mixture in with the beef mince and the other half is going to go in with the cans of tomatoes to make a really flavoursome tomato sauce. Then I've got some fresh parsley, again chop it up nice and fine, add that in with the beef mince. Also, just to make these meatballs really flavoursome, 1 teaspoon of ground cumin and half a teaspoon of cinnamon. So there's all the mixture for making the meatballs. Now to make the tomato sauce, we've got 2 cans of tomatoes. They can be chopped tomatoes or plum tomatoes, doesn't make any difference. Good splodge of tomato puree and obviously half of that blended mixture. 1 sort of cube, if you like, of chicken stock, so it's about a glass full. Then again, I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of ground cumin, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, ground cinnamon, and 1 teaspoon of harissa paste. Now harissa paste is like a chili based sort of paste and it's going to give it a bit of kick, a bit of warmth. So 1 teaspoon of that. Now finally, once you've got it all made up, I'm just going to sprinkle some fresh coriander over the top and it's going to be delicious. So what I'm going to do is get me blender and we're going to start blending up the onions, the chilli, the garlic and the ginger. So I've got my blender and I've just sort of chopped up the onions, so just put that in there and again just put it all in there along with cloves of garlic, got the fresh ginger, got my chilli, I've taken the seeds out. Pack that in a little bit like that. What I might do, just put a little bit of, I'm going to use a bit of olive oil. Just open this up. Now I'm going to just put a little bit of olive oil in there. It will just help give it a bit of lubrication. So let's pop the lid on there and I'm just going to blend that up. So let's just blend this. There you go, all done. Got a nice sort of pinky paste. Look at that, looks beautiful. I'm just going to move that out of the way and I'm going to bring myself the bowl of beef mince or lamb mince, whatever you're using. And I'm just going to put all the ingredients in and make them into little meatballs. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of seasoning, so a bit of salt, and I've got some freshly ground black pepper. Then I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of cumin and half a teaspoon of cinnamon powder. Just mix that in. I've got the fresh parsley. Now with that sort of blended mixture, I'm just going to kind of grab what I think is about half. That'll do. And I'm just going to try and squeeze out any sort of excess juice really. I might just put a little bit more in there. Squeeze the juice out. There you go. Keep the other half because obviously I'm going to use that in the actual sauce itself. So now what I'm going to do is just use my hands and I'm really just going to mix this together. Now sometimes when I make meatballs I use breadcrumbs, or you can have milk with bread and it, you know, just sort of packs it out a little bit. Now these meatballs I'm just going to use as is. I'm not going to put any breadcrumbs or anything, just use it as it is so it's all kind of meaty and flavoursome. And once you've got that all mixed up, then we can just start making them into small little meatballs. Don't need very much mixing, I think that will do it actually. So let's get a plate and start making them up. Now we're not going to make them particularly big. So I'm just going to place them on the side there. So really just kind of grab a little bit, make them into little balls, and you can roll them around your hand. And if you can, try and get them roughly the same sort of size. It's not 100% important, but you know, if you can, that'd be good. So I'll just carry on doing that, as many as I can make out of the mixture. There you go, just doing the last one. I'll just bring those into view. So I've got the meatballs all made up. Now in the end I actually got 13, so unlucky for some. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the frying pan, put a little bit of olive oil, and we're just going to fry those, try and get them a nice brown colour on the outside. Now at this stage you could put them in the fridge, put a bit of cellophane over, put them in the fridge and let them cool down a little bit. Some people do that because it helps prevent them from sort of breaking up when you're frying them up. But I'm just going to go straight over, fry them up as is. So I've got my pan there. Now I'm just going to put a little bit of olive oil in there. Switch it on and then we're going to wait for it to warm up and then put the meatballs straight in. Because what we're really trying to do is just get a nice colour on the outside. So let's switch the gas on. Now I'm going to do this on a fairly high heat, sort of medium to high heat. Because like I say, we're just trying to brown the meatballs on the outside. The rest of the cooking can be when they're in the actual tomato sauce. So we're not trying to cook them all the way through, just try and get a bit of colour on the outside. Right, my pan's just about warmed up enough, so I'm going to start putting in the meatballs. Let's just pop those in there. Get those all in one pan. Give them a bit of a swoosh around. That's it. Looking good. I might just carefully give them a flip. Look at that, getting a beautiful colour on there. So just flip them round so you get that colour on the outside. And you can rest them up against the side of the pan as well sometimes, so that you can kind of cook the sides a little bit. I might just turn the heat down just a little bit because it is quite hot. That'll do. Just leave those, I would say no more than about sort of 4 or 5 minutes at the most until they're nice and browned. You know, it doesn't matter if the sides aren't completely brown, but just a little bit brown on the outside. So I've had the meatballs cooking in total for about 4, nearly 5 minutes. So I'm now going to switch them off and I'm going to put them onto a plate and, you know, just put a little bit of tin foil over, just to let them tenderise, and then we're going to start making up the tomato sauce. So, you know, carefully pull them out. So you've got a lovely colour on both sides. So I'm just going to put a bit of tin foil over that, just loosely cover them up really. Now there is a little bit of oil and sort of fat that's come out of the meatball, so that's perfect for the base of making this tomato sauce. So you can get all the lovely flavours in there. So again, let's just put the heat back on. Now this time, not so hot, I'd say medium, maybe a little bit lower. And I'm going to start off putting all that onion and garlic and chilli and ginger mixture in there. Yeah, that's going to give it a good base. And again, just mix that around. And I'd say really, just cook this for a couple of minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. Just leave that cooking away. Now as I say, not too high heat now. We turn the heat down. The meatball's really nice and hot, but this we're going to just turn it down to medium low. Now whilst that is cooking away, I'm just going to put in that cinnamon and that cumin. And again, whenever you add anything, just give it a stir. Get it all mixed up and blended. Just give it a final stir. I think we're just about ready to add the stock in now. So straight in with that. What a lovely base for this meatballs. Whoa, it's going to be good. Now I'm also going to put in the cans of tomatoes. Now you might need to squash those down, just sort of break them up a little bit. And also I'm going to put a good splodge tomato puree in there, riching it all up. So let's just break down these tomatoes a little bit. And then really you can let those simmer away for a good 10-15 minutes or so. Now we need to add a little bit of salt in here as well. Don't forget, just put a little bit of salt in there. Now also, because I'm going to use the harissa paste, I'm just going to add 1 teaspoon of that. And again, just give it the occasional stir, break down the tomatoes and leave it on simmer for a good 10 to 15 minutes. I mean, you can do it longer if you like, you know, get it a little bit thicker. Now we will taste it before we put the meatballs in there, because I just want to make sure that it doesn't need a little bit of sugar or anything like that. I do sometimes put a little bit of sugar when I'm using these cans of tomatoes, because they can be a bit sharp sometimes, and I think, you know, when you're making meatballs, just a little bit of sugar can really make it extra yummy. But, you know, obviously it's up to you. You have to taste it and see what you think. So leave that simmering away, good 15 minutes. Now I've been cooking my sauce for about 15 minutes, but as I say, if you want, you can cook yours for longer and let it thicken up more. I mean, it's a little bit sort of runny, but don't forget, we're going to be cooking a little bit longer with the meatball. So let me just give that a quick try, see how it tastes. Try that. Lovely flavour, really nice. Definitely got a bit of kick from the chillies. Now for my own personal taste, I am going to sprinkle in a little bit of sugar, put a bit of brown sugar in there. Now one of the things that's going to do is to sweeten down the sauce, and also, you know, with the chillies having a bit of kick, it will just tone it down a little bit. So just give that a quick stir, and then make sure you get the sauce how you want it before you put the meatballs in. So I'll just give that a quick minute, and then I'm going to give it another taste just to make sure it's how I want it. Again, let's just give that a quick taste, make sure it's good. Oh, definitely prefer that. A little bit of sugar really makes a difference for me. Now just turn the heat off a minute. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the pan onto the other side, a smaller hob, because I really want to cook nice and slow now. So I'm just going to move it all over to this hob, and then I'm going to put my meatballs in. Right, I've just turned it over to the other side, and I'm going to put the meatballs in and all that juice as well. Just slip them in there. Look at that. Beautiful. Now be gentle with them. But if you can just, you know, put them in the sauce there, and turn the heat right down to a nice low simmer, and as I say, cook those for another 15 minutes. That'll be fine. You know, cook them until they're just lovely. So whilst I've got my meatballs cooking away for about another 15 minutes or so, what I'm going to do is get myself a frying pan, and I'm going to fry up some courgettes. Now chop down courgettes, a little bit of olive oil, and I'm going to add those to the couscous we're going to make. So in the next 15 minutes, we're going to fry up the courgettes, make the couscous, and then we can serve it all up. So again, let's just switch the heat on. That's it. Now I'm just going to put just a little bit of olive oil in there. Now just to show you, I'm going to use 2 baby courgettes. I've washed them, and I'm just going to chop them up. Put those all in there. Like that. And you know, once they start warming up, just give them a bit of a stir around. I'm going to add just a little bit of salt, not very much. Don't want to go overboard on the salt. That's it. Bring that here up a little bit, and then just give them a stir around, get the oil coated, and you know, just try and get a nice colour on the courgettes. Let's just give the courgettes a bit of a turn over.
Just slowly try and build up a little bit of colour all the way around. Now while the courgettes are just cooking, I'm just going to move them to the back, and I'm going to get myself a pan and we're going to start making up the couscous. So again, just put the heat on the back there, and I'm going to bring a pan and we're going to start making up the couscous. Now when you make your couscous, read the back of the instructions and see what it recommends in terms of the amount of water and how much couscous. Now what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to add 250 ml of water. Now I'm going to use a little bit of oil, but to be honest with you, I think I'm going to use a little bit out of this pan here. That's it. Scoop that back out. So we don't need a lot. Bring this up until it's just bubbling away, and then I'm going to add my couscous. Right, now the water for the couscous has just come up to really like almost like a boil. I'm actually going to switch it off, put the couscous in, like that, give it a quick stir, put a lid on it, take it off the heat, and let the water get absorbed by the couscous. So all the water is going to go into the couscous. So leave it for about 3 minutes, and then we'll have a look at the couscous and, you know, make sure the water's been absorbed. Now it doesn't hurt if you can just very gently turn these meatballs over and give the sort of gentle stir. So if you can, very gentle with them, because you don't want them sort of breaking up at this point, just to make sure everything's nicely covered. That's it, lovely. Leave that cooking away. And again, I'm just going to stir these. Whoa, getting a little bit brown on the colour there. That's alright. I'm actually going to turn the heat off though. I'm going to move those off there. I don't want to cook anymore. That's it. I'm just going to take those completely off heat. A little bit brown, but that's alright. They'll still taste really delicious. Now wait about 3 minutes, roughly. Can have a look. Look at that. Looks really nice already. Now I'm going to add a little bit of butter to that. Like that. Maybe just a little bit more. And I'm just going to put it on a very gentle heat just to bring it up again, and then we'll give it a quick stir and then just leave it for another 3 minutes. So just put the heat back on just to kind of get the butter melted a little bit, just a very low heat, and we'll give it a stir and get the butter all nicely melted in there. Move that around. I mean, if you don't want to use butter, you could just use a little bit of olive oil. That's it. Also, wouldn't hurt just to put those in there as well. Put the lid on there, turn it off the heat, and that is ready to go. So I'm just going to take this off the heat now, put it back over there, and in about sort of 3 or 4 minutes time we can serve up the whole dinner. So I've got everything ready now, and the meatballs, you know, in the sauce have been cooking for their 15 minutes. Now just before I serve it on the table, I've got some nice coriander. I'm just going to put some of that on there ready. Lovely. And then we can take that over to the table and serve that up. Delicious. I'm also going to spread a little bit of fresh mint. So again, if you can be more careful than me, just mix this together. So you've got some of the courgettes with the fresh mint, just to freshen it all up. Now I haven't actually added any salt into the couscous because I think one way or another we've probably got enough. So there you go. Lovely couscous, and we've got some delicious meatballs. So let's get ourselves a plate, serve it up and try some. And they've got those really nice meatballs. Look at that. That is a dish to die for. Beautiful. So let's just grab some of this. Oh, that is smelling good. So good. Just a little bit more of that sauce. Delish. Now it's just time to try some. Now first of all, let's just try a bit of this couscous. Oh, really nice. With those courgettes and a little bit of fresh mint, nice combination. I'm going to try some of this sauce. Oh, that is lovely. Got a nice kick to it. Really great on a cold day. Beautiful. Now let's just cut one of these meatballs open. Look at that. Oh, it's got to be good. Just bring that up a little bit. You can see. Oh, the meatballs are delicious. It is a really nice dinner. And it's not that expensive to make. It's delicious. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy. Lovely. So I've got my meatballs all served up, and I've got 4 really nice looking plates there, and I've obviously had a couple of meatballs myself on my plate. So really lovely looking, you can't go wrong, and if you like spicy meatballs, you'll really love these. So here we go, I'll leave them there for you. You can reach in and take one. First come, first serve. Provide your own knife and fork. See you again soon, the original Naked Chef.